Hello. So the topic for today is stillness. And the reason that's the topic is because I called my friend Christos and he didn't pick up. And instead of talking to him, I was going to be in stillness if I weren't filming this video. But Eckhart Tolle talks a lot about stillness and a little bit about my experience. I was 19 going on 20 in 2012 in Gainesville. And one of my friends brought me this book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And we were introduced to this book and the concepts and all in it in an English class in 11th grade. And basically it took a couple of years for it to germinate into me actually getting it. And I got it at the right time. Eckhart says a lot of people who get this book, chances are you're getting it at the exact right time. Now, from a secular standpoint, you may think, well, if you psychologically just make yourself believe it's the right time, then of course it's the right time. Why wasn't the right time 5 years ago? Why wasn't it 2 weeks from now? How do you know if it's the right time? Well, this is about a larger divine intuition that can be understood only from a higher perspective than psychology and secularity, right? And I was very much into positivity and all when I was 19, and Eckhart, saw an interview with him. He says on Oprah or Ellen or one of these shows, and he says it's about moving beyond your likes and dislikes. So I thought it was like, oh, you should like everything, That was like a happy 19-year-old. It's about moving beyond your likes and dislikes. And I suppose that's a bit of a foreign concept to me. And he says that it's about also in stillness and silence, divining higher truths, living in the presence of being, right, which is the consciousness source from which we all derive. Your true dwelling, your true home, he would say, right? And in a day in his life, he says it's not particularly glamorous. He does what he has to do. This is on the surface level, surface reality. And he enjoys silence, right? I think he lives in Vancouver, Canada, and he's surrounded by nature and peace. And basically the comings and goings, the doings, the this and that of the world are not quite so impactful to him because he views this reality as a surface layer of reality. Whereas when you live in secularity or psychology or ego, so to say, it ends up being the full reality. This is the only reality. The only reality is what's happening at this moment in this physical world. And from a certain sense, that's also correct. But Eckhart is seeing things from above, from the standpoint of being, right? From the standpoint of what's beyond this world, right? Now, and therefore he can view this as a surface reality. In the same way, if you're watching a movie, right? Let's say, even if it's a war movie, right? Now, witnessing all these events, and they're probably grotesque and all, but you'll get affected by it, but you understand that this is all pixels, this is all something that's false, right? Yet you're engrossed in it, you're watching it, you're getting affected by it, and these characters become real to you, right? Through the duration of the movie, but they're not actually real, right? In the same sense, so it's a surface reality. You're looking at a two-dimensional screen, and it's a surface reality. So basically, that's how Eckhart views the world, right? But at the level of the world, like if you're in the movie, it's all very real. But at the level of Eckhart, because he's coming from the being source from which all consciousness spawns, through which all lives are possible, through which the entire eternity and infinity and everything is ever present right now, this particular reality is not also important to him in the same way it might be to someone else who's completely stuck in ego, completely stuck in their own perspectives, completely stuck and pulled by the tides of gain and loss, not in a way where they just emotionally react, but in a way in which they believe it to be truly all important, right? Jed McKenna is another spiritual teacher. I don't know what he looks like. I've never seen an interview. Jed McKenna, I don't even think it's his real name, but he's written a book, a trilogy, and I'm reading it. I'm reading the second book now. It's a very unusual set of books. It's not your normal spirituality books. And Jed talks, his second book is called Spiritually Incorrect Enlightenment. And in this, he's speaking to somebody. He's at his party in California, and he has a strange conversation with these people where he's basically lecturing them about how they're all asleep and they're not going to wake up. It's not like, hey, wake up. Like, you're not going to wake up. And basically, he's explaining to one of his friends or one of his editors of his book or whatever, right? He has a strange group of people around him, right, where they just sort of naturally come into his life one way or the other. He doesn't plan it, just whatever he sort of needs, he ends up getting. And he's explained to this person that there's this, from his perspective, and he says he's enlightened, you see things as a spectrum of ego development, right? So within each person you can see, someone who's in the world and of it, and someone who is in the world and not of it, right? In the same sense, Christopher Clary wrote a book on Roger Federer and said Federer, both flesh and not, right? Whereas you wouldn't say that about another favorite tennis player. I gotta get my other shot. And but those are just some thoughts, and in silence and stillness we can divine more of these sorts of realities. All right, hope you enjoyed it.